In this next motherfucking episode of Meet the Plug, I want to talk about how you can build your website strategy for WordPress using a few elements that I want to share with you today. Then I want to groove into automating repetitive processes or even tasks using business automation technology. And lastly, I want to touch on the concept of time versus money, because some of y'all think that y'all could be lazy and cheap and not spend no time and no money, but yet you still want that check, like you, Peter, from Office Space.
We're trying to get a feel for how people spend their day at work. So if you would you walk us through a typical day for you?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I generally come in at least 15 minutes late. I use the side door. That way Lumberg can't see me. And after that, I just sort of space out for about an hour. Till I'm finished.
Space out?
Yeah, I just stare at my desk. But it looks like I'm working. I do that for probably another hour after lunch, too. I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
Peter, would you be a good sport and indulge us and just tell us a little more?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something about TPS reports.
TPS stands for?
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
Don't care?
It's a problem of motivation, all right? Now, if I work my ass off and Initech ships a few extra units, I don't see another dime. So where's the motivation?
And here's something else, Bob. I have 8 different bosses right now.
I beg your pardon?
8 bosses.
8?
8, Bob. So that means that when I make a mistake, I have 8 different people coming by to tell me about it. That's my only real motivation, is not to be hassled. That and the fear of losing my job. But you know, Bob, that'll only make someone work just hard enough not to get fired.
So you think we playing out here, and either you spending money to save time or you spending time to save money. But you can't have both. And if you're failing to plan, then you're planning to fail. Without further ado, let's get into this hot, fiery episode. But first, let me plug in that intro. Meet the plug, meet the plug, meet the plug, meet the plug. I'm your host, Maestro Stevens, the Fresh Prince of WordPress, and your plug-in for the plugins. On this podcast, we discuss everything in the world of WordPress, trends in tech, and making big business moves. So stay tuned as we deliver you a silver spoon of the juice, straight, no chaser, to you content creators. Now welcome to Meet the Plug WP, where we deal dope tech shit. What up, what up, what up, everybody? Everybody, yeah. I had just watched the Deadpool 3 movie recently, a few weeks ago, and I love the fact that they had the scene in the beginning with the Backstreet Boys, kind of a music playing in the background for the opening scene. That was hilarious. For those of y'all who don't know, my name is Maestro Stevens, and I am the host of this podcast, Meet the Plug. I want to thank everybody for joining. This is a special time because we are now on our 5th episode. Now, here's the thing. From the statistics, most people don't get past the 3rd episode. I believe 90% of people don't get past their 3rd podcast episode. And then another 90% from there don't get past the 10th episode. Now, please fact check me or look that up yourself. The numbers could be, roundabouts. But for the most part, most people don't get past the 3rd episode. And then the people who do get past the 3rd episode, most of those people don't get past the 10th. And this is our 5th episode. So I'm halfway there to the second half of what most people don't do. And it's because of you all. Those who are listening, I appreciate you. You are really special to me because of the fact that this podcast has been a long time coming. Not this specific podcast, but me podcasting in general. And just to be consistent with it, it feels good. So thank you. Please give yourself a round of applause or a pat on the back. Now, we are near Halloween right now, since we're in October, which means that the season, 'tis the season, or the holiday season, is here. And you know how crazy it gets during the holiday season. It's the same shit we do every year, especially in the Western culture. I know that people celebrate Christmas or the holiday season everywhere around the world. But around here, this shit get crazy. It's the same cycle. And I just think it's interesting. So I'm going to dedicate a few episodes and future episodes to giving y'all some tips, strategies, some things to look at, some things to look out for, some hacks when it comes to preparing and capitalizing off the holiday season. I know I'm going to this year, probably not in the same way you're going to, but we can capitalize in different ways. And so that's something that I want to definitely touch on while we go through that motion. Now, when it comes to the world of WordPress,
Say another motherfucking word and this shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga.
that is an interesting topic of conversation. In my previous episodes, I really didn't bring up any of the situation that's going on with WordPress currently. And I'm not going to touch on it too much in this episode, but I am bringing it up now to prepare those who have been listening and continue to listen, and they want to know why I'm touching on it. And it's not because I want to join in on the drama or join in on the negative side of things, or just take advantage of the trend that's happening right now. No, what I want to do is be honest and be transparent first with myself. Then I can be honest and transparent with you guys to say that there will be a shift because of this. So if you're going through it and you're listening to this episode relatively during the time where this transition is pretty much inevitable, then hey, I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? We got to stick it in there. But if you are listening to this episode and you have came into WordPress after all the nuances and the kind of the thing that's happening right now, after it has passed, well, then you are now in the shift. You are a part of the transition, or the result of the transition. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because there's going to be a transition. It's inevitable. Shit has hit the fan too much that you cannot avoid talking about it. Everybody has their side or their opinion or what they think. And hey, I even got mine. But what I can do is be unbiased to a huge degree when it comes to certain parts of this topic of conversation. And that is just it's going to be a shift. Doesn't matter what you think or how you feel or, what your opinion is based on the situation. I believe 99.9% in my heart of hearts.
Captain Planet, stop right now! My heart.
That there is going to be a shift in WordPress. It's inevitable. And I'm hoping that it's for the better for us users, for people who are developers, for people who are designers, for people who are casualists, especially people who are content creators. I hope that WordPress's shift and transition benefits you the most and not WordPress, because WordPress would not be WordPress without us. And that's just the truth. At least that's what I believe is the truth. Not my truth, but that's what I believe is the truth. That WordPress is not WordPress without us. And two things could be right. Something could have needed to be created by a single individual or individuals that also needed to be upheld by the community in order to flourish. So you definitely need the originators, but you also need the users, the managers, the other visionaries. You know, you need the family. That's important. So I just wanted to start off the episode with this tidbit of information, because I know that somebody's been listening to this and is like, Maestro hasn't touched on the whole WordPress thing. And like, not really. I haven't touched on it like that. Not yet. I'm going to save that for another episode, because I'm curious to see how this turns out too. But it's just crazy because every week, I would say, if not every other week, but definitely I would say every other week, but every week some shit happens, something else happens that you're like, what the fuck? You're like, I thought we were gonna subside. I thought the tides were gonna, nope. So that's why I'm bringing it up now, because I'm like, nah, this shit gonna keep growing like a pimple on your face. You know what I'm saying? Till that motherfucker gets popped. You know, till you do something, or you just let it go down slowly. But yo, it's gonna keep growing until, you know, something happens. Something's got to give. Someone has to give, y'all. All right. And so be prepared. If you haven't already looked up the information yourself, which I'm sure some of you all will do if you don't already know about it, I'm going to touch on things later on. All right. Cool. All right. So we got that elephant out the room. Okay. Because that is the elephant in the room, and we had to get out the way. I had to let y'all know, like, this shit out here is crazy.
You're crazy. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you. But you're crazy.
But that's not what we're here for. We are here to celebrate. We are here to educate. We're here to learn, to do what we need to do to get to that next level. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help you get to that next level with some of my anecdotal experiences, with some information that I've researched, and with other people's experiences and what they have gave me insight on. I like to give you a combination of all. The things that I know from my experience, the things that are just out there on the internet that we can research, you can research, do your own homework, and things that people have taught me directly or indirectly. If you didn't hear that, just take that as a way of learning, different ways of learning. I'm not talking about the kinesthetic way, the auditory way, you know, seeing versus hearing versus doing. I'm talking about how you are consuming, through what sources you're consuming of, and or how you're learning, what sources you're learning from. What's key in our lives, I think, when we are intentional when it comes to success, is starting off with some type of strategy. And that's why I said the word intentional. You need to be intentional in order to have the best possible chances of success. You got to be intentional. And that's where a website strategy, or a WordPress strategy, to be specific, comes in place. If you are using WordPress and you're building your website, you've been working on your website as a content creator, maybe you are a person who creates other websites. I like to really talk more to people who create websites for themselves versus people who create websites for others, because that's a different route. You know, that's a different set of needs. But there are overlapping things that should be taken account for on both sides, whether you're creating websites for yourself, your own brands, your own ideas, or you're creating websites for others, or you're doing both, creating websites for your brands, your ideas, and creating websites for others. You still need a strategic advantage. You need a strategic process. And that's where your website strategy comes in. So I just want to touch on some of the elements of a website strategy with you. And then in future episodes, we go dive a little deeper into them elements. Okay? So hopefully you got your pen, your paper, your pad, you got your notebook, you got something, your phone, you can take these notes on, something you have. So that way you can jot these down, and then when we get to it later in the future, you can reference these elements. So when it comes to your website strategy, the first thing you need to think about are your website goals, which are different than your business goals. There can be some overlap, but you want your website to support your business goals. So what are those things that are about your website, that are focused on your website, that you want your website to accomplish? Then we want to think about how those things relate to our target market, our target audience, the people that we want to be utilizing our website. Because if there's nobody using your website, how are you going to reach your goals? So those goals should be relative. There should be some type of parallel between your website goals and your target market. So that's the second thing, is your target market. The third thing that you want to think about when it comes to your website strategy is your competitors. Doing some type of competitive analysis, looking at their business model, looking at their website, looking at their brand, looking at their features. What can you look at that you can see is different from your business, or you can see that your business has some similarity in, or you can utilize from your competitors? So your competitors is the third element of your web strategy. The fourth element is your branding and all your branding elements, everything from strategy to brand identity. You have to think about both. And if you do your branding first, your website should be easier. That's something that I see a lot of people kind of skip, and it's because most people aren't brand experts, and most people don't know what branding really is. Most of us think it's a logo, or it's just colors, and it's deeper than that. It's deeper than rap. It's deeper than the Mariana Trench. It goes deep. So you got to think about your branding. All right. The fifth element of your website strategy is, and I'm mixing some things together, so just know that some things I'm kind of combining together because this list will be way too long if I didn't combine some things together. But the fifth element is going to be your site map and your customer journey. So you got to think about that target market that we talked about and what is their path on the website. Your site map is basically a collection of all the pages that is going to be on your website. So what are those pages, and how do those pages, if somebody were to go on your website and you said, okay, technically, if I had my way, I would have them do this, and this in this order. Now, most people won't do it in the order that you want them to do it with, but we have to start off with a plan to start strong. So, hey, I want them to go here, go to this page, that page. If they go here, I would want them to go here next. That is how you think about your site map and your customer journey. When it comes to the sixth element, we're going to talk about UX design. UX stands for your user experience. When it comes to your user experience, we have to think about what are the user behaviors. Those things go hand in hand. And your UX design should reflect your site map and your customer journey. And it should also think about your target audience. So you want to design the experience that your target market or your audience would enjoy. That's the key thing, not something that you would enjoy. It's great that you enjoy it, but you want to design something. You want to come up with ways that their look of the site, the way people would interact with the site. It's in a way that they would enjoy. And you can easily do some type of UX design by just sketching things out. You don't have to go hard on a program. Nope, you can just have a pen and a paper and just sketch something out. Now, it probably ain't gonna look like Picasso or a professional UX designer, but it's gonna be something better than nothing. Way better than nothing. The seventh element on your website strategy is going to be your functions and features. What are the things that you want people to do, and how do you want them to do it? That is the key thing. When you think about a function, you can think about something like an action or a process. So an action or a process is you want somebody to download something. You want somebody to watch something. You want somebody to read something. You want somebody to sign up for something. Those are your functions. Those are the things that you want people to do. Some of y'all just want people to buy something, but you got to get through the other things first. You like, nah, just shut up and buy. Shut up and buy.
Hurry up and buy!
You're like, no, you can't do it like that. But you have to think about the things that you want people to do. When you think about those things, it makes it a lot easier when you can associate the tool or the asset, like how they're going to do it. So you want somebody to do this. The question is how. Now you start to fill in the blank of, oh, this is how they do it. They're going to use this PDF. They're going to use this plugin. They're going to use this feature on the website. Click this button. Do this thing. That's the how. That's the feature. So you have functions and features. The eighth element on your website strategy is going to be your tech stack. This is the thing that everybody wants to talk about more than anything, because this is your, we'll say, plugins mainly, but it's also your hosting, and then a few other things if you're hooking up to your WordPress website or website in general. But if you're using WordPress, this is mainly your plugins. What are the plugins that you're using on your website? And how do those plugins work together? So if you don't think about that before you start building out your website, you can run into plugin incompatibility. You can run into issues where there's conflicts with plugins. You got plugins fighting with each other. Like, two kids fighting over cake, or the last Oreo cookie. You don't want that to happen. You want them to work hand in hand. You want them to work together. So think about your plugin or think about your tech stack going into the build of the website and not after you start to set up the website. The ninth element of the website strategy is going to be your content strategy. And that's thinking about what are the ways that you're going to use content in order to attract people to your website, attract people to your brand. When I say content, I'm referring to the written word, but you can also talk about video. We can also talk about podcasts. But the written word is mainly what I'm talking about when I say content, right? Content or copy. What is that strategy? What does that look like? Then we have SEO strategy at number 10 for your website strategy. SEO stands for search engine optimization. And when it comes to search engine optimization, for the most part, y'all, we're talking about elevating, there goes that word. Now, you know what, AI didn't say it because I said it. Because AI loves using the word elevate. But we're talking about elevating or increasing your position in Google. That's what we're talking about for the most part when we say SEO. And then all those ways you're going to elevate or increase your position in Google. You want to get more real estate in Google. That's SEO. If you ain't striving to do that, you're probably not really doing SEO. Even though it's called search engine optimization, it might as well be called Google optimization. Google or GEO. Geo. Shit. We're going to say Geo for short. Google engine optimization. That's what it should be called. But they want to call it search engine optimization because they know they probably will get, talk shit about having a G. Either way, at number 11, we have mobile optimization. And that is all about making sure that your website experience is just as good, if not better, on mobile than it is desktop. And not just mobile on the phone, mobile on tablet too. Some people just think about the phone. They don't really think about the tablets. And tablets, even though they're still small percentage comparably, in comparison to the bigger market share of devices, they're still growing on people, and it's important. People are starting to use tablets a lot more. So mobile optimization is key. At number 12, we have analytics and performance optimization. So we go from mobile to now thinking about how are we going to optimize the way that we're tracking and measuring activities on our website. Okay, we want to track and measure the activity of our website. How do we do that? What do we need to use? And what is the plan? What's the game plan? What are we looking to measure here? That's analytics performance optimization. Then we have at number 13, compliance and accessibility. So we want to make sure that we are compliant with the rules, the accessibility rules, with the ability for people who are disabled to use our website. We want to be compliant to these standards. And that is a key thing. I'm going to have a future episode with an advocate of accessibility. To me, she's an expert, but she calls herself an advocate and other things. You know, she is still on her journey. However, she is, in my opinion, an educator of this topic. So I'm going to leave that for her. Talk about more about accessibility and compliance. At number 14, we have security measures. So what are the protocols? What are sometimes it's just the tools. What are the technologies that you're using to make sure your website is secure? It's a combination of the processes or protocols and the technology that you're using to make sure that people ain't hacking up your shit. People aren't just able to, bring down your website. And when I say people, I'm really referring to bots, but people create bots, right? Until we get to some Terminator type shit or Matrix type shit, bots ain't creating bots just yet. But I believe that shit gonna happen, not too long from now. Somebody may be listening to this podcast in that time period like, see, Maestro was right. Skynet was gonna take over.
You kill us all! You kill us all!
Come with me if you want to live.
But we gotta make sure we are secure, all right? That's the key. And the last one at number 15 for your website strategy elements is going to be your feedback mechanism. What are you doing to collect feedback? How are you collecting feedback from your users, from your customers, from your visitors? How are you able to gather that feedback, collect it, and then use that to your advantage? Mix that with your analytics. When you combine the two together, you have some super Captain Planet, Captain Marvel, Voltron type shit. And you can combine the two so you can have your quantitative data, which is your analytics, the numbers that you have coming in, and then your qualitative data, which is going to be the feedback that people are giving you. Cool. I know that was a lot. I do. But these are the, I'll say, main elements. There are other things as well too, but these are the main elements, pillars, sections, I believe, that will help take a plan to the next level by adding a strategy to support the plan, because strategy and planning are two different things. When you combine your strategy, when you start off with a strategy and then you turn that into a plan, you have a better opportunity of not only executing the plan, but being able to measure the plan, measure the execution, and you feel good at the end. When you see them results, you be like, see, I strategized this first, then I planned it out. I came up with the overarching nuances, the overall concepts, the core stuff, right? I came up with that stuff first. Then I wrote in the in-between parts, the plan, the how we're going to get this done. That's where you have to really think about things. Hopefully you got something out of this segment of That's My Word.
Say another motherfucking word and this shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga.
Besides just the drama for your WordPress mama. And I'm glad to give you this information because with this kind of information, you should be armed, seriously. You should seriously be armed to take care of your WordPress website, to build a WordPress website, to grow a WordPress website with intention in mind. And if you need some help, if you need some support, we have a template on our Iconic Templates website. It's iconictemplates.com/free-templates. iconictemplates.com/free-templates. You go there, you will see a website strategy starter planner you can get for free that has all these elements in. It's a template, and you can fill in this template. We have it on Canva. We have it with Google, I believe, and right now that's pretty much it. Canva and Google Slides, and you can fill out this template with yourself. You can use ideas. You can copy off of it. Do whatever you want to do, but just start off with something intentional when it comes to building out your WordPress website or building out your website in general. Now that we've covered WordPress, I want to transition into one of my favorite topics of automation in this next segment of dope tech shit. When it comes to automation, I specifically want to focus on automation for content creators or within the content creation space. But automation can apply to anybody when it comes to getting something done. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a content creator, a business professional, an employee, anybody can use what I'm going to share. But I want to focus specifically on those who are creating content and how you can use automation to help you be more efficient and get things done faster. Oftentimes when we combine those things, when we want to be efficient and faster, well, that can create a lot of conflict. That can create a lot of shit that goes haywire, as some may say. But when you do it in a way where you're using tools and technologies that work, are sustainable, and you can use easily, it makes the job a lot easier. It makes the job a lot easier when you are striving to be fast and efficient. And these days, as content creators, we have to be somewhat fast. We have to be more efficient, but we have to be somewhat fast. And fast can vary. When I say fast, I don't mean fast at every part of the process. I mean, we got to be fast at the aspect of consistency and the aspect of how we do our process or how we engage with our own process. We can't be slow at that. Even if our process is typically slow in comparison to others' process striving to get the same outcome, we just can't be slow when it comes to getting to our process. We got to have some type of way to kind of get in and get out, even if the process is a long process. Still got to find a way to make it more efficient. That's where automation comes in. And I can tell you, as a person who, if it wasn't for automation, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't have this podcast if it wasn't for automation. Yes, I can record something, but I wouldn't be recording and editing and distributing and promoting consistently if I didn't have some sort of automation helping me do so. Even with the help of people, you still need automation, and people can be considered automation for your business. Don't get it twisted, y'all. Do not get it twisted. Yes, we are here to talk about some technologies, but people are also a part of you automating your creation, automating your business. So just keep that in mind, that we don't always think about automation being other things outside of technologies. And I like to give y'all the juice and the squeeze. I'm going to give y'all both the juice, and let me give you a little bit of squeeze too. I ain't saying I'm squeezing all your juice out, but I gotta let you know that something's coming out. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get that little squirt. And understanding that automation is that thing that you need more than anything, but you also need to be the person, and you need to have some people to help manage and maintain this. When it comes to creating content, like I just said, if it wasn't for tools and technologies, I would not be in the position that I'm in right now. And one of my favorite tools, just to start off with, is a tool called Canva, a tool that I just mentioned in the last segment. At the end of that segment, I mentioned Canva. It's one of my favorite automation tools. Nothing that I'm going to tell you is going to be in any order. It'll all be things that I use and vetted myself. Canva will help you in so many ways with creating graphics and visuals. Canva also has AI features. Canva is a Swiss Army knife of visual creation. It can automate so much in your life. And I know we don't think about automation in terms of visuals, but believe me when I say it is automation. When something automatically happens, when you can click a button and something automatically happens, like the removal of a background, that's automation. Because you would typically have to remove that background manually if you didn't have that. So you can automatically remove a background from a click of a button. In Canva, that's simple. That's just one example. One of my other favorite tools, we are at the visuals. Now let's go to the writing. Let's go to the content of writing. Starting off with using a AI specific tool. So Canva has AI in it to create graphics and things of that nature. But using something like a Chat GPT, a Claude, a Notebook LM for that writing, for that description, for those ideas, for those summaries. I mean, I can keep naming things all day. You guys know how this goes. But yeah, I definitely use those three tools. I couldn't just name one because I use them interchangeably, from Claude, ChatGPT, Notebook LM. Sometimes I use Gemini, but if I just would say the main three, I use those three more than anything. And those help me with so much of the content writing aspect and the analysis, right? But just specifically content writing, it helps me out with so much. I'm not talking about just writing blog posts. I'm talking about, again, subscriptions, titles, keywords, even with transcripts. Notebook LM can now do transcripts, y'all. Yep, you can put a audio file into Notebook LM and it can do transcripts. That's crazy, but you can do it for free. Another automation tool that I love is a tool called Descript. Now, Descript is another Swiss Army knife of a tool. And speaking of transcriptions, I used to use Descript for transcriptions. You can use the free plan now that only gives you 10 minutes. How long does it give you? I don't know how long it gives you. Y'all gotta look it up because they just changed the prices. But when it comes to the transcriptions, you get transcriptions with your, I think you get an hour, if I'm not mistaken. You get an hour per month of transcription. But and you also get this thing that does audio enhancement automatically. It uses AI to do audio enhancement. That's automation. Descript is a video editing tool for podcasts specifically, but you can use it for other reasons as well, other things you need to get done. And Descript is kind of my backup tool when I need to use something else and I don't want to use what I'm using. I'll go to Descript. Transcriptions, audio enhancements. It even has other things that you can tap into automatically or auto-magically. Gets rid of filler words automatically. Words like right, things like that. It gets rid of filler words. Descript. If you need another transcription type of service, automation service, HappyScribe is another one. So as I mentioned, Notebook LM can do it for you, Descript can do it for you, and HappyScribe can do transcriptions. Otter is another one. I'm sure you've probably heard of that. If not, now you have. If you didn't know, now you know. Then we get into some editing, proofing, whatever you want to call it. But when it comes to your editing and your proofing, one of my favorite tools is Grammarly. I am so shocked when people have never heard of Grammarly. I can't write without it. I have to have the Grammarly extension on my Chrome browser when I'm writing content because it fixes so much stuff. It helps me. It's beyond spell check. Now, the pro version of Grammarly, man, it does a lot. Again, automatically. But the free version, that'll get you by so much. And it'll see things that spell check won't see because it's looking at the grammar, not just the spelling. So Grammarly, check that extension out. It's free. Put it on your devices and use that to help you create better content more efficiently to do any type of writing with. Grammarly is your joint. When it comes to enhancement of the audio, let's touch back on Descript. Remember how I just said Descript does audio enhancement? Well, another competitor has came out not too long ago, and they are Adobe. Adobe has an audio enhancement feature as well. And I am using this feature. The last episodes of the podcast, I've been using the Adobe enhancement. I like it a little bit more than I like Descript's studio sound. That's what Descript calls its audio feature. Adobe calls it audio enhancement. But I like the sound of Adobe's. And it gives me the ability to not have to do all this extra editing that I would normally have to do in my linear audio workstation in my digital audio workstation. Linear editing is for video, but digital audio workstation is for audio. So basically, it's your audio program, something like a Pro Tools, a Logic Pro, Audacity, things like that. A GarageBand, that is a DAW. Normally, I use Logic Pro and Final Cut when it comes to that kind of stuff. But when it comes to audio editing, I don't want to do all that. I want to just create content. And so not too long ago, I discovered Adobe has this podcast feature now, or product, or suite of products. And one of them is an audio enhancement tool. So check that out. It's called Adobe Enhance. And then some other notable mentions when it comes to content creation and content production would be something like an email marketing tool. Automation. With email marketing, I would suggest using something that either goes with WordPress or is used off of WordPress. For instance, I use a tool, a plugin that's on WordPress. It's called Fluent CRM. And I hook Fluent CRM up with another tool called Amazon SES that does email sending. And so when I combine my email marketing plugin with Amazon SES, I can get unlimited emails and contacts for pennies on the dollar. I combine those two together and I do my email marketing from the back end of a WordPress website. I don't use another tool outside of that. If you did want to use another tool outside of that, like a software as a service, SaaS, don't be sassy, SaaS, if you want to use something like that, you can try something like a MailerLite or a MailChimp. Those are a couple tools that you could use if you're not already using something of your own. It's a lot of email marketing tools out there. I'm just giving you some examples, y'all. But email marketing is a big part of automation, especially when it comes to messaging, outreach. You made your content. Now, how do you reach out to people to let them know about it? Speaking of outreach, we have social media as some type of outreach method. So do you have some type of social media scheduler? Something like a Buffer or a Hootsuite? I particularly use a tool called Content Studio. That's the tool that I use. And it's the same thing as a Buffer or a Hootsuite. The key is that you want to get a social media scheduler hooked up. We'll hook that sucker up. And that's how you're able to promote your content out to others. So I just talked about doing it to a specific audience, people who are on your list, you own this list, and then to a borrowed audience. You don't own the social media platform, but you can reach out to them through your posting, and you can automate your posting so you can get more time on your hands. And then we have tools like Zapier that are considered integration tools or connector tools. So Zapier, Make, you can use one of those. Those are two type of connector integration tools when you want to integrate tools that don't have what they call native integrations. They don't talk to each other. You can't easily transfer information from one tool to another. That's when you want to use a connector tool or integration tool like a Zapier or a Make. I use a tool that's specifically made for WordPress, but it works outside of WordPress, called Shore Triggers. Again, this tool was made for WordPress, but it works outside of WordPress. Not only works outside of WordPress, but you can use other tools that aren't WordPress-based tools or plugins, and you can use it with Shore Triggers. So I use that tool, but I came from my origins. Those come from using tools like Zapier and Make. And I still use Zapier from time to time. It's the 500-pound gorilla, it's that one, it's the Mecca. And then when it comes to distribution, when it comes to distributing this podcast in particular, there are tools like Transistor and Podbean. Or you can just do it through, I think Spotify has their own specific Spotify for podcasters. But either way, if you're looking to create a podcast yourself, you can use a hosting tool that distributes your podcast to the world, to these other podcasting platforms, like you're listening to me right now, on whatever device and whatever platform you're listening to me on. I use Podbean, and it helps automate my podcast. I upload it to Podbean, I click publish, then it automates to multiple podcasts. That's automation, because if I didn't have this tool, I would have to submit this podcast manually to all these different podcasting platforms. So hopefully that gives you some idea of what I mean by automation, especially for content creators, but it can be used for anyone, entrepreneurs, small business owners, agencies, freelancers, business professionals. But I just wanted to give an idea from a content creator standpoint. And the reason why this is so important, because I wanted to give you guys more of the tools and the knowledge on either a little bit of why you should use the tool or how you could apply the tool in the category. But this is important because, and I'm reading from an article from Kissflow. Pretty much, when it comes to automation, the business process automation market has grown to $8 billion in 2020. And so by 2026, the number is potentially looking to reach $19.6 billion US dollars. I'm talking to US, y'all. When it comes to business automation. And then about 80% of businesses are speeding up their process automation with about 50% of them planning to automate all repetitive tasks. 80% is a lot. I know McKinsey put out a report on this of business automation, and so a lot of people who are citing, who have a business automation article, stats sheet, I noticed the pattern of them often referencing a McKinsey report based on automation. So that's something that I just want to let you all know. You can look this up yourself. This one is by KissFlow, called 20 Key Business Process Automation Stats You Need to Know. I'll put this in the show notes. But I looked at a few of them. They're all pretty much alluding to the same thing. I just wanted to share with you all some stats behind the information, because I know some people just want to hear some numbers, you know what I mean? It's just somebody out there just like, nah, Maestro, I got to hear the numbers. What the numbers look like? Numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. So fuck all that. Let me hear them numbers. So that's why I want to throw some numbers in here too. It also says it is expected that about 69% of all managerial work will be completely automated by the end of 2024. Now, how true is that? I don't know. How close are we, y'all? Because it still is 2024 at the time of the recording of this podcast. It's still 2024. It's October of 2024. So we have a few more months, but 69% of all managerial work will be completely automated. That's a long shot. 50% of business leaders believe that they can successfully automate up to 30% of their workload. Now that's a stat I can get behind. I can see that. It may be more than 30%, really. And these are just a few stats. There's so much more and so many more when it comes to business automation and why it's important. And the thing that you'll often see now is business automation in tandem with AI. They go hand in hand, even though they're not the same thing. But if you're using a tool like a ChatGPT, a Claude, a Notebook LM, just know that there is automation happening. You're automatically getting output. Just know that it's doing it with AI, but you are still getting output automatically. So that's why I said you're going to hear these two words used interchangeably, even though they are different. They have different definitions, but they are so in parallel or so connected with each other that we're going to be using them as if they're one. I can see that happening in the future. Those are my thoughts. However, either way, you got to use them together, automation and AI, to make your life easier when it comes to getting tasks done. And I think you know this. I think we know this. Sometimes we just need to hear from a different perspective. And that's all I'm giving y'all, is a different perspective. If you all have any ideas, share with me your ideas. Wherever you're listening to this podcast or however you heard of it, social media, YouTube, the platform you're using, and you can write a comment or you can write a review. Share some of your ideas. I would love to hear from them because I know we all use different things. Or tell me if you think some of the things that I've shared don't really make too much sense. I love to hear. I just love to hear feedback. And that was just a little something to give you in this segment of Dope Tech Shit. When it comes to automation, the whole purpose is it's supposed to help us save and make time and money. That's what automation is supposed to do. If automation is not helping us save time or make money, then it's pretty much worthless or pointless. And there's a concept that I came up with. I believe I came up with. If I didn't, then somebody let me know. And this concept stems from striving to have your cake and eat it too. And I basically say that you either spend time to save money or you spend money to save time. But you can't have both. Not without there being severe conflicts, severe risks. And when it comes to handling your shit, handling your business, let's talk about saving time versus saving money, or spending time versus spending money in this next segment of It's Just Business.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for it was just business. You know, I'm a professional.
That's what everybody keeps saying. I'm just a professional. Everybody keeps saying it.
Let's start off with time first. Spending time. The way that I look at spending time, it's a few different ways. Let's start off with the first way. First way I look at spending time, and this is through the method of learning, DIY, do it yourself. That is self-education. Self-education is a key way of spending time in order to save money. Then you have mastering the DIY method. Start off with first serving yourself with education. Then you begin to master your different ways of learning and how you learn. Again, this is how you spend time. You are spending time. You're spending something. And we usually spend time when we don't have the money. Normally. Sometimes we just spend time because we actually like the task we're doing. Other times we're doing that, or we're spending time because we don't have the money. It's just as simple as that. But another way of spending that time is using business templates. If you're using templates, that can save you so much time. So much time. You're still spending time. Sometimes you have to spend a little bit of money, but for the most part, we're talking about free templates. So you're spending time using templates, or you're using paid templates. That could still be considered spending time, even if you're spending a little bit of money, but it's still more time that you're putting versus having somebody else do it. And this is all surrounded by basically building on a budget. When we're striving to build on a budget, you're going to have to spend some time, y'all. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. It is what it is. And so I just want you all to know that. That is a big thing when it comes to how you use your time and proportionate to your expectations. Then we have the money. Or as Jerry Maguire would say, show me the money.
Show me the money!
The money. This is when you're paying and you're hiring. You're spending more money and less time. You're always still spending some type of time, some portion of your time. That's if you're doing things effectively. But efficiently, you're spending more money than you are time, because you're better off spending your time at doing the things that other people can't do as well as you, or where you are more valued at, that bring you a bigger return on your investment. When it comes to paying and hiring, I'm talking about your strategic capital investment, how you are able to sustain your company, your business, your operation. Did you have some type of way of getting some money in? Did you use your money? You got to think about that. That's a big part of how you spend your money, is how are you going to get your money? That's something that I've had to learn over these years. It matters. When people get money for free, even though it's a crazy concept to think about, but when people get money for free as gifts, they don't spend that money the same way when they had to earn it. Have you noticed that? When you get money as a gift, you are more likely to spend it differently than when you have to earn it. think about that capital investment into your business. Then we go into hiring talent. Who are you hiring? How are you hiring? Where are you hiring? Are you going to hire people through a referral? Are you going to hire people through some type of recruitment program? How are you going to hire people? And how do you vet those people? What is your process of vetting those people? I know that for me, I went through a process of hiring through a platform called onlinejobs.ph. Basically, it's for hiring people that reside in the Philippines. You can hire people from anywhere. But this platform I was recommended, and I appreciate it because it gave me the opportunity to hire talent that could do things that I wasn't that good at doing. And so I hired a developer and I hired a designer. And I've hired multiple developers and designers for our agency from this platform in particular. But I knew I had to hire at some point, regardless of my experience, my capability of leading, anything. I had to learn. I had to start somewhere. And so you can do that in order to give you some more room to do the things that you do best or the things that you are best at. And speaking of hiring talent, then you have to think of having internal staffing or an internal staff or outsourcing and not necessarily having that person or group of people, a team, not necessarily having them internally in your company, but working with them in parallel. There are pros and cons to having people on board your team specifically. You can build company culture in a different way. It's hard to build culture with your business or your company if you are looking to bring people on. For most content creators, I believe you will be outsourcing versus hiring internally, internal staffing. I think you're going to be doing more outsourcing. So I would advise you do that. Work with a program like Fiverr or Upwork. Do that kind of thing. Technically, outsourcing could still be using a program like or a platform like onlinejobs.ph. I would say that there's a hybrid scenario where you can have people that are not technically employed. They're not employed by you, but they still work for you on a salary basis, on a weekly, on a reoccurring basis. So they're like a staff, but you don't have to, they're not on your taxes. I'll say it like that. If you're from the US, I don't know how it is in other countries. I can only speak on the US when it comes to this. But it still applies anywhere in terms of outsourcing versus hiring internally. So that is what you want to think about when it comes to spending time versus spending money, because you can't have your cake and eat it too. Once you eat your cake, it's gone. Either you're spending time to save money or you're spending money to save time. More than likely, you can't have both. And you have to be strategic about when it's time to spend the time and when it's time to spend the money, or when it's in your best interest to spend the money. I'll put it like that. And manage that accordingly. It's something that I'm still learning to this day to manage and figure out. But I know the concepts and I have experience, I have practices, and I have results. I can get better with my results and I will get better with my results, as should you. But you got to start off with knowing the concepts of it first, right? When to spend time versus when to spend money. Sometimes we be spending too much damn time when we just need to spend the damn money. Let's just keep it all the way real. We are spending too much time when we need to spend the money. And going back to the automation, sometimes we need to spend the money for the professional paid plans of these automation tools and stop being cheap and using the free one. We know we don't want to hire somebody to help us. So the next best bet is using the pro features, if they are helpful to your business, but using the pro features of these tools that can help automate your business. because you ain't gonna get everything for free. You're not gonna avoid paying for people and paying for tools and think you're gonna become successful. You are fucking out your mind if that's the way you're thinking. And I just gotta keep it like that. I gotta keep it all the way 100 like that, because I think some people think like that. They're gonna get away with, somehow they're gonna become successful. Now, it's one thing if you are just going through a transition or you're getting your feet wet, but you're not gonna be successful in the long run, in the long term of your journey, if you are avoiding paying people like human beings directly and avoiding paying for tools and technologies to run your business. You are not going to survive long. And there's a 99.9% chance you're not going to be successful. That's not how business works. It takes money to make money. So either you're spending the time exponentially to make this money like you personally are, or you are paying for someone else or something else to spend that time to help you make this money. And that is something that you really need to take home. Take it home like homeward bound. Run it home like you a kid that just got off that school bus. And you got to get home in order to get done with your homework as fast as possible so you can jump on them video games and eat those snacks. You know how that was. You know how that was. You got to take it home. Take this home with you and then share with somebody else. But I just thought that it was important to talk a little bit about time versus money, because it's something that I think we take for granted as a people in the world, let alone as content creators, business owners, entrepreneurs. We take it for granted. Don't be too cheap for too long. Spend the money to save you the time so you can spend that time you save doing the things that make you the most money. And I have to look in the mirror when I say that, because I got to do the same thing, y'all. But that's why I'm using automation tools until I can grow a team, a bigger team than the team I have now. And who knows how big I actually want to have with my team. I'm starting to learn that it's not always a good thing managing a lot of people on your own. So then you have to hire managers. And that's when you're at a different tax bracket for real. But yeah, you can make a good smooth 6 figures with a few people on your team. You can make a good smooth 6 figures just outsourcing. You absolutely can. Using the right tools, having the right processes, and outsourcing, you don't have to hire a single person as a, let's say, W-2 employee. I think it's what it is. W-2. Yeah. With a W-2 employee. You don't have to do it. But there are some benefits to having W-2 employees, especially in America. There are benefits. But you don't have to do it. You got to decide what's right for your business. And that was just my thoughts when it comes to time versus money on this segment of It's Just Business.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for it was just business. You know, I'm a professional.
That's what everybody keeps saying. I'm just a professional. Everybody keeps saying it.
Speaking of time, I think it's about time to wrap it up. I think it's that time, y'all. I want to thank everybody who has tuned in and listened to this episode of Meet the Plug. We talked about a few things today. Even started off with a little bit of that drama for Yo WordPress Mama. But we had to touch on a little bit of that because it's apparent. The elephant in the room is here. It ain't going nowhere, so there's no point of avoiding it. And I just wanted to touch on it a little bit so that way you had a prelude to some future topics in future episodes. Then we touched on some dope tech shit when it comes to automation and how automation can not only help you when it comes to being more efficient with getting your tasks done, being more efficient with your processes, but some tools, categories and tools that you could use that I use to make my life easier. And I only use the best of the best, at least 80 to 90% of the time. Sometimes I'll use something else that's a little bit more off-brand. And that's because I like to give brands and new developers opportunities. And then sometimes some stuff is just not popular, but it's good. But 80% of the time, I definitely like to use vetted tools, things that I believe that are tried and true, that are top tier, creme de la creme in their space. And these are things I wanted to share with you when it came to automation, making your life a little better, automating the things that are repetitive in your business operations or your business workflow. And last but not least, we were able to transfer that energy into time-saving thoughts, money-saving thoughts. How we save time? We spend money. You know what I'm saying? How do we save money? We spend time. It's that simple. And you can't do both at the same time, and particularly when it comes to doing business. You're going to have to do one or the other, combine them, get a hybrid scenario, but you have to realize that it's only going to take you so far if you're always spending time. You're going to have to spend some money at some point in time to really get a bigger return on your investment. It's not something that I'm just making up. This is just not my opinion. This shit is tried and true, y'all. But you take it for how you want to take it, and you can go with it how you want to go with it. That was a great episode, wrapping it up with episode 5 of Meet the Plug. And as we wrap it up, let me plug in that outro. Meet the plug, meet the plug, meet the plug, meet the plug.
Is this what you want?
Fire. Say another motherfucking word and this shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga.